right, we're back on Diana today, and during the break, Diana actually said something that caught me by surprise because I really didn't think women would have this thought. So do you want to share with your audience, Diana, what it was that you said that actually really surprised me?
Out there, right?
Yeah, this surprised me.
So I was just talking. So if you ask me, for instance, sometimes you'll say, or someone will ask me, well, what do you want to go eat? And I'll say, well, I don't know what I want to go eat. But there's certain things that I'm very sure of that I want. And one of the things I've never struggled with is choosing a car. I mean, anytime I've ever gone to buy a car, which has been a few times actually, I never struggle with that. I do my homework first. I always know what I want. And I look into it, I know what kind of motor I like, and I know what kind of car I like. And if I go to a lot and if the salesman tells me these two cars have a great motor and they're V6 and they're this and they're that, one of them has an ugly looking bumper or it's been hit. And the other one, is burgundy and it's the colors that I like. I don't care what that engine looks like. I like this one, and it's what I'm gonna drive. It's what I'm gonna get into every day.
So how did you relate that to our question about does appearance play a factor?
So you're putting me out there again.
Yes.
Well, how does it relate to that? It's because we need to be honest and we need to be real. And one thing is to be spiritual and to love God and we have our decision making. But the reality is that in order to get to know a man's heart or get to know a woman's heart, something about that person has to appeal to us. There has to be a chemistry. There has to be an attraction. And for instance, if I'm somebody that wants to be active in my life, or we discussed this already, but when we, as women, I believe it's a little unfair to attack a man because men are visual. You're created that way.
That's how we're wired.
That's the way you're wired. And the sooner as women we discover that and understand it, the better off we're going to be. Because it doesn't mean that men are just shallow or just on appearance. It's just that that's the way you're wired. And so, but us women, we're pretty much the same way. In some ways. We're not just going to look at it, well, just because he's a great businessman or because he's a good man, and they'll say, oh, he's a good man, but you have to ask yourself that tough question.
Right. And I think what happens is that initial attraction of appearance is what sparks me to want to dig deeper.
Yes, absolutely.
As before, I may not be interested in finding out more,
right.
But because that initial attraction was there, then I want to find out what she like, what kind of personality she like, what's her relationship like with the Lord, and find out all those other things that are going to ultimately make my decision making.
And again, I believe that the reason why we're even here discussing it, because we're talking about longevity. We're not talking about dating and running around town.
Sure, no.
Because then it doesn't really require a whole list of, it doesn't require a lot. We're talking about relationship. We're talking about honoring God with our life. We're talking about doing life with someone, and which kind of takes us to the other point of having somebody in our life that can complement what we do. And this is I love this topic. And this topic we can go on and take our sweet time. Because complementing what we do and doing exactly what we do are two different things. Right? Like for instance, I've had to speak to preachers, and I say, does she have to be a preacher?
Yeah.
And some men will say yes.
Yeah. No. I'm saying I get.
Yes, or you're saying
no, I'm saying I get what you're saying. I get where you're going with
so
this.
what do you think?
No, she doesn't have to be a preacher.
There you go.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
No, I think you can be in two different fields.
Yeah.
Of course, I speak. I open the Bible and I teach the Bible. And she doesn't have to do that.
Right.
No. I have two great friends here where it's actually kind of the husband complimenting her ministry.
Right.
She's a worship leader and he compliments hers by playing guitar. He uses his gift for the Lord. She uses her gift for the Lord.
Yeah.
But no, it doesn't have to be exactly the same thing at all.
We're like, no. and I love that. I'll tell you why, because a lot of people get stuck there. See, they just get stuck and they feel like, well, she has to be a preacher. She has to be on the piano. If she has, and to me, I strongly believe that when it comes to the relationship, I put a lot of value on who the person is when you're not in church.
Oh yeah.
I think I put more value on who the person is when you get home.
Right.
When you're not on the platform. When you're not in the public eye. Who are you? How do you behave?
Right.
How do you treat someone when no one else is looking? And whether you're a preacher, you're not a preacher, if you walk your values, that means a whole lot more. And then complimenting the other individual, like what you said, that you have a few friends, that one of them is a worship leader and the other one is a musician. I think that's really cool. Now, what about when it's a woman that has a ministry? I've had to deal with that issue myself. Does it make a man insecure? Does it make it, what does it do?
Depends on the person. Like my friend that I told you about, he's not insecure at all. He knows that that's her anointing, and he compliments that. And but I can see a man becoming insecure because we kind of have to have that position or anything. But I think it shows a lot of understanding of who you are when the man can compliment the woman.
Okay.
Or when, he has his thing and she has her thing, and it's the same kingdom.
Yes.
We're serving in the same kingdom. Different parts, but we're serving in the same kingdom, and I think it goes hand in hand.
I think I kind of like that space too.
Oh, sure.
I kind of like that individuality. It kind of makes it a little bit more interesting.
Right.
You're both serving God. You both have a servant's heart. You both have. It's almost as though you're doing your thing, and like when you go to work and you're doing your thing, and then the other one, she's doing her thing, and then you actually have something to talk about.
Right. Do you really want to work at the same job in the same office with your spouse?
I don't think that's healthy.
I don't think so either.
I don't think that's healthy. That's spending too much time together.
Right.
Isn't good room for growth?
You can come home and talk about what happened in your day and her day.
Right.
Things like that.
So ultimately, I would say then that attraction is important. I think, and in all fairness, it applies to all areas. If you're going to buy a house and you have the opportunity to buy a house that's already painted, it's already done, or a house that has all these repairs that need to be done, and it's almost the same price, it's almost a no-brainer.
Sure. Right. Yeah, I agree.
It's almost a no-brainer, and I honestly think that we have to be a little bit more realistic and be just kind of have our feet on the ground and say, you know what, this is real life, this is what it's like, and do the best that we can. And I'll tell you that there's different flavors for everyone.
Oh yeah.
See? For some guys, this may be beautiful, and for some guys, this may be beautiful, and for some guys, 10 pounds more is a little more beautiful.
Right.
And so on and so forth.
Right.
Same thing for women. So.
And I think the thing we were getting at is it's got to be something there.
Right.
That it doesn't have to be the Hollywood model or whatever.
Right.
But there's something there that catches you.
That
you know,
spark.
That spark, that appearance, whatever it might be, for that individual man, what he likes. Yeah, there needs to be that something there.
Okay. Well, and we're thinking about longevity. We're talking about relationships, and we're talking about what makes men or what would make a woman shallow. And we're determining that it doesn't really make us shallow. It just makes us real. It's talking. Let's be real about it and know that it is important. So I believe that interviewing a woman is very important. There's plenty of beautiful women and men that inside have not developed the inner man or have not developed the inner woman that eventually will jeopardize the relationship.
Oh yeah.
How we treat another person, do we treat them with respect, so on and so forth. So we do our part to take care of ourselves and do the best with what we've got, and use the best with whatever features we've got. But then ultimately, the ultimate decision is based on who we are on the inside. What work has Christ done on the inside? What are our priorities? I just got back from the retreat with the women, Real Life, Real Me, with the TC ladies, and we talked about real life has real issues and how do we face them? How do we work those things out? And the real me is the woman that God has crafted in me.
And we're talking about the appearance and everything, and I think what I like about the Bible, Diana, too, is that it doesn't try to hide things. know.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
He doesn't try to hide. He doesn't try to cover the. Abraham lied because Sarah was so beautiful,
Yeah.
so pretty. David fell into adultery. A man after God's own heart. This great psalmist David fell into adultery because he saw the appearance, the attractiveness of a woman. Esther won a beauty contest.
Well, I just spoke on Esther this weekend.
Oh, great. Okay, cool. Yeah. Sis, obviously a very attractive woman. And sometimes I think that we get this Christian mentality of, okay, if a guy appreciates beauty, then, he's not sanctified.
Yeah.
He needs to die to the flesh or something like that. When I don't think when you become a Christian, God doesn't strip you of appreciating attractiveness. No. It's just that other things now take on priority, precedence.
Yes.
Right. As before, maybe it was only that.
Right.
But now the Lord opens your eyes to other values.
Right. Absolutely.
But He doesn't strip you of, appreciating outer beauty.
And one of the things we talked about at the retreat about Esther in particular was we often describe Esther as a queen and how beautiful she was because the Bible does say that.
Right.
But when we really find out what Esther was made of was when the decree was written.
Yeah.
And she showed what she was made of, and she said, if I perish, then I perish.
Right.
Because of what God had done in her and then the purpose of God in her. And she called her, and then she called her people, and then Mordecai's people.
Right.
Called them into prayer and said, you pray and fast, I'll have people praying and fasting. So she showed what she was made of. Now, one of the things I told the ladies is that she must have shown up with all her bling bling. And she probably had the top of the line chariot, and she probably had all this stuff. But when it came down to it, she was a prayer warrior.
Oh yeah.
She went and she got it done.
She got it done.
And now she didn't look like a prayer warrior from across the street.
No.
She did not. Sometimes we have our own image or our own stereotype of what a prayer warrior should look like, and it was not Esther.
No.
But in the time when it really matters, when when crisis comes and knocks on our door, or knocks on the door of a relationship, of a marriage, when a crisis knocks on that door, that's when we reveal who we really are.
Yep.
That's where the mascara and the bling bling and the high heels and none of that is going to work.
Right.
What's really going to work is who we are on the inside.
Yeah.
How do we fight back?
I think of Ruth even.
Yeah.
Naomi told her, look good.
Yes.
Wash, anoint, get yourself looking good. But inside, she was willing to carry out the redemption process, for the people of Israel.
And remember I told you that two preachers can't sit together?
Oh, yeah.
What I shared this weekend was that Ruth had opportunity. Okay, but there was two women. Same place, same situation, same opportunity.
Right.
But then Orpah showed what she was made of.
Right.
She kissed Naomi and said, it was nice knowing you.
Right.
I'm out of here.
Right. And she cried too, right?
And she cried.
They both cried and wailed, but when it came down to it, I'm going back to my pagan gods.
That's right. And she had heard Naomi. She had lived the same thing that Ruth did. But Ruth she reached a crossroads. She had the same opportunity, but she showed what she was made of.
Yeah.
And she wasn't always that woman.
Right.
She was a Moabite.
Right.
But God crafted that in her. And she said, I'm not going anywhere. And then, a small little thing, God just put her in the lineage of Christ.
Right. The great-great-grandma of the Messiah.
Right? So she showed what she was made of. So I think we can, get on this topic and enjoy it. And then whoever's listening to us, it's a hot topic. We're just talking about where we put our values, what's important to us, and does it really make a man or a woman shallow? So stay tuned as we continue our next topic, which is going to be on baggage. I really want to talk about that. And so stay tuned as I share with my friend Anthony Laguna here at the Orange Circle in California. This is Diana from Diana